Welcome back to Fullerton College Pre-Press class. This is Professor Ben Hewitt, and today I'm going to show you a brief video on how to work with the front and back sides of playing cards. Since many of you are using cards either as your final project game or in your final game project, here is an overdue tutorial of how to make that work with a front and a back. So where we left off here is the general layout and imposition from our very first project back in August. But this wasn't the complete picture, and I'm going to finish that up for you now. So we have a page of cards where we have created a grid of frames, and these frames are going to be the same size as whatever cards you're making, plus a 1/4 inch. I know you guys all know this by now, so when you heard me say a 1/4 inch, you're like, oh yeah, because an 1/8 of an inch bleed all around means it's a 1/4 of an inch larger in each direction. And you'd be right for guessing that. Good job, guys. Anyways, with our bleed size files here, we then place the files in, and you can refer to the earlier video on this one, on all the import options. We'll use import options to let us choose a sequence of pages out of all of the cards we design, as opposed to only choosing the first page, which is the default for placing a file in InDesign. So we've done this, and here's a whole page already imposed. The next thing to do is to ensure, and you can group or not group. Grouping makes it easy to use automatic controls. Makes it harder to do other things sometimes. So let's use grouping. We group them, and we can use either visual push alignment, or we can use the actual align function. So if we're going to do it visually, if you have your smart guides turned on and you move around, hopefully you can see this in the final video, you get a magenta plus through the middle of your page. You get a line. Whenever you move an object around in InDesign, when you reach a center point of the page with these smart guides turned on, you'll see a line appear down the center saying that it is centered. If you hit, let's do this the other way now. If you go the other direction, you get a line showing you that you are vertically centered and only off by the horizontal. So if I move this whole thing in until we get to the horizontal and vertical lines cross-hairing in the center of our page, that tells me that we've entered the dead center of the room. Oh, sorry, I missed Disneyland, guys. Anyways, the dead center of the page. And if you're in the center of the page, that is the best place for trying to line things up front to back. There are other ways of doing this, and some people might use different reference points. If you're using an offset press, you want to be measuring to whichever edge is going to be the gripper edge, which is whichever side of the sheet of paper the printing press is going to grab onto with those little tiny metal fingers to hold while it pulls it through. But that's not a subject of this semester. So we'll just let that ride for now, that there are grippers in presses that hold things. However, if we're printing this on a Xerox type photostatic electrostatic printer, we're going to want to measure from the center because that's where the press's reference point is. On an offset press, the reference point is the edge of the page that the grippers hold, and everything is measured from there. On electrostatic printers, they tend to, I know Xerox does, I'm not sure about all brands, so don't quote me there. I'm not quite sure exactly how they do it on Ricoh and like Konica Minolta and stuff and Toshiba's, but for Xerox and Canon, they find the center of the page, and that's where it will center and spread out to create the image. It measures from the middle. So if you measure from the middle as well, that means that you're going to get the closest, cleanest lineup of front to back, because if you go to one side and then you flip the page over, or it flips the page over for you and prints the other side, it can be a little wonky if you think it's going to come off the right edge and the second side means it's the left edge. It's a little bit more to think about. But if you center it to the middle is always the middle. And that's one of the reasons they do that. All right, so now that we've done this, we're going to jump over to a second one. Here's my Martha Stewart style swap out. Look, a finished turkey in just 5 minutes, not 5 hours. So jumping over here, we have a blank version. This is going to be the back side. I've not saved it yet. Shame on me. I should save it. And this has the exact same grid. Oop, it's not quite. Yeah, it is centered. Let's make sure it's centered. Just to check for that, there we go. We have pink and pink, or magenta and magenta. We're in the dead center of the page. So all these cards, and these are set to the size of my cards, not they need to be set to the size of your cards. And so they're all here. And from here, we're going to go ahead and lay them out by placing the back side, which I only had to make one of. I'm going to place that in. And so now on the second sheet that I've built that has these the same grid, we're going to place in the backside file that we made. So I'll do a file place. I'll do this the visual way since it's a video. When I'm working alone, it's always just Command D because I prefer my shortcuts. Back to our documents. I should have had this called up. Sorry, people. Navigate through and find your files. And if you do this stuff well, you know where all your stuff is. There you go, cardback.ai. And I place it in. Now, if I only have one, I can also then go back through and do an option drag and move them all down. This is not the cleanest way to do it when I have all my things already in place, but it is the fastest way. And so now I have made the back sides for my totally legit finest unmarked playing cards deck the same one on every single one with a suspicious looking star that you're gonna have people looking at really closely to see if you're cheating, because it totally looks like something you would do on a marked deck. Anyways, this is it. So then this will be saved. You would print this a separate time. On actual press, you'd produce all the front sides with the individual pages that look like this, all the individual card faces, and then you would take the same paper, feed it back through the same press on a different file, and this other file will have all your card backs. I hope this answers most of your guys' questions, and it probably raises a few more, so don't forget to message me.